Can Elon Musk be removed as the chairman of Tesla? Now, well, technically he can, but we might find out an answer to that in reality this June when the board is going to vote on a brand new proposal about removing him as a chairman of Tesla. Now, I don't really think it's going to happen. There's already a recommendation from the board not to do so, but this starts a very interesting conversation, not even really starts, just kind of prolongs about, you know, is Elon Musk's time with Tesla, at least in his current capacity, really maybe coming to an end at some point. We're going to talk about that. Also, another unveiling at Beijing Auto Show, and of course, comment of the day. And it's all coming up next.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world, electric.
Welcome to the show. If you're watching me live on Patreon, welcome and thank you for supporting the show. If you're watching me in a replay on YouTube, please consider subscribing so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, before we talk about Elon in just 1 second, just want to say tomorrow, my guests are Zach and Jess. As you can see, this is us hanging out at the semi-truck unveiling or roadster unveiling, whatever you want to call it, last fall. They're going to be here. We already pre-taped this, so if you're a Patreon, you already watched it live, or you can watch it right now on Patreon. It's going to be posted on YouTube tomorrow at 11 a.m. We had to pre-tape it because, well, I thought I would be at the Beijing Auto Show right now, but since I didn't get my visa, I'm here, but the show is ready. One of my best interviews, not because of me, because of my awesome guests. We had a great conversation. We were trying to talk about stuff that we were going to debate rather than just agree with everything, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And after that, a week after that, John LaFleur, the VP of product at Workhorse, is going to be here live, and then Henrik Fiskar on May 12th. So I'm looking forward to those guests, but let's get back to our topic. Elon Musk. Now, you know, this is really a weird story. First of all, this proposal was submitted by a shareholder who owns 12 shares of the company, right? So they're like really basically nothing. So nevertheless, this proposal is going to be put up for a vote in June, I think June 5th, when the board meets for the annual shareholder meeting right here down the street. I'm probably going to hang out there and maybe stream live for you guys if I can. But so his argument is that, listen, Elon Musk cannot be considered an independent chairman of the board. And this is a practice that's been kind of becoming a mainstream in Europe and now in the United States because his involvement with SpaceX, Boring Company, other companies, he can be considered to be independent. And, you know, there is some truth to it. I don't quite understand, or maybe you guys can educate me. Why does he believe that now is the time for Elon to go? A lot of companies have their CEO and chairman as the same person, you know, and a lot of startups. Obviously, Tesla is no longer a startup, but this is something that's pretty interesting. And, you know, the board has already put out a statement saying, okay, even though we're voting for it, we don't really want to do it. We don't recommend that you guys do it when you vote for it. They believe that everything is just fine, but it does bring a conversation that, you know, been circling around. And I never thought about this really myself until my guest on my show a few weeks ago, Roger Atkins. He was my guest, and he brought up a point that maybe Elon Musk shouldn't be the CEO of Tesla. Now, I know it's different from chairman, but that was his point because, you know, and people say, whoa, I can't believe Tesla without Elon Musk. He wasn't arguing that. He was arguing that maybe he could be serving the company better in his capacity that he's really good at, like, for example, innovation and engineering and so forth. You know, there's also an argument that, you know, he's just simply spread too thin between all of his companies and so forth. He's obviously sleeping on a couch, it looks like, at the factory. You know, now let me play you a clip from that interview so you can see what he was talking about.
There needs to be a change, and dare I say this, because I know you might not agree, Alex, and maybe a lot of your viewers won't. I think maybe it's a time for Elon to become the chairman of the company and take a lot less of a hands-on role. He's doing an amazing job with SpaceX, and I'm sure that's where his kind of true passion is, certainly where his skill sits. And I think in some senses it would work better for SpaceX if he spent more time there.
Well, so as you know, I don't 100% agree that maybe this is the right time, or it has to be an elegant way of doing this, because you know he has been the front man and a showman of the company. We kind of, a lot of people comparing him to Steve Jobs, and you know when he was kind of kicked out of Apple, that kind of company went downhill really quickly. Though now that he's no longer there, also once again the company is alive, obviously, and really doing very well, but not innovating as much. But on another hand, you know, he has not been very CEO-ish. A lot of people would argue, including myself. You know, I don't like the way he tweets. I think sometimes his attention is on the wrong things. I think he's spread too thin, but nevertheless. So I know we're talking about, you know, a vote that's probably not going to pass at all about removing him as a chairman. But while that's going on, this is going to raise a lot of questions on people's minds. Maybe not for now, but in the future. That listen, if he's not going to deliver, you know, maybe Q2 results are not going to be what the expectation is. If he's going to continue, you know, like for example, people are saying, and I agree that he probably shouldn't have said that. That they don't need that they won't be raising any more money. Now they may not need to raise any more money, but you know they do need to have some cash in order to start producing the semi-truck and the Model Y and continue the production of Model 3. There's nothing wrong with raising money, even if you're cash flow positive. So you know there's something to be said about him maybe not fully being the best CEO of the company. He's still by far the best face of the company and an innovator and engineer, but maybe become a president where someone else is the CEO, or some other title that obviously says that you are the face of the franchise of the company, but still someone else does the CEO a duty. So now I know some of you guys don't agree, and this is not even my opinion, obviously doesn't even matter here, but I'm just telling you that this could be a beginning of something that really starts looking at Elon as you know, somebody who may not be there for all the 10 years that he's been kind of awarded with a new contract. Let me know in the comment section. I want to know what you think. If you think that Elon should maybe step down as a chairman or CEO, or he should be forced. I mean, I know it's all far-fetched, but you know, there's a little smoke now, and that's why I wanted to kind of mention this. All right, let's move on to the next story. Before that, of course, I want to mention that this show and this channel is sponsored by Ebonex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. If you're shopping there in the near future, please make sure to use the discount code that is in the description of this video, so you can save a few bucks. That never hurts. All right, Beijing Auto Show. Now, here's a company that's I've never heard of before, that I have to admit. A Great Wall Motors. I mean, they have, I think, 3 SUVs that are selling in China, and they're, you know, an automaker there. But now they've unveiled their new line, their new model called Way X at the Beijing Auto Show. And I have to say, it is, it's not a bad concept, or I think it's a prototype now, at all. It reminds me of Byton a lot. And not so much because it's an SUV or whatever. The looks don't really remind me because of the technology. For example, they're betting almost 100% on a facial recognition for you to access the car and load your profile, which I think is great. They also have all kinds of tech that reminds me of what Byton is doing. Very innovative car. On top of that, they are demonstrating right now at the Beijing Auto Show, where I am not, the wireless charging that they claim to be at 99% efficiency. Now it's provided by, oh, I forgot now which, another company, and I looked at their website. I don't believe you just kind of drive over that. I think you drive over that and kind of a little thing comes up to your car. So there's a little bit more mechanics to it. I'm sure the price is not going to be as cheap, but it does look like this is something new, something innovative, and something there. Actually, well, you can see that in the picture right here. Let me show you the entire thing. See that thing that's sticking out from underneath? That's the charging thing. So it's not being plugged in, it's still wireless, but I think it comes up pretty closely to the car. Anyway, so let me show you another picture. This is pretty cool, and this is what the dashboard looks like. Now it is ready for a level 5 autonomy, so as you can see, the wheel is kind of optional. I believe it can be appearing and disappearing, which is pretty cool. Let me show you once again a kind of a full screen of this. I definitely like this a lot. So, you know, but because I've never heard of this company before, and, you know, this is their first electric car, they do have obviously budget, and they're making cars right now. I love it. Love it. Basically, I would say that's probably one of the best, if not the best prototype and unveiling I've seen in the Beijing Auto Show, besides Byton. But Byton's only kind of technically unveiling it for the Chinese market, but like the world premiere. Let's see what happens. I mean, if they can really pull this off and start selling it, especially to the rest of the world, this may just be a really good competitor. And again, I love the way it looks. You know, I don't love it. I would say it's really good looking. I like it the way it looks. All right, let's move on to the comment of the day. We have one that I'm not even gonna read because it's a little bit profanity, but it's a good point. So it is about the BMW iX3 that was unveiled at the Beijing Auto Show, and Max Pash is basically saying that it's ugly and it's boring. And, you know, really when he shops for electric cars, he wants to see something futuristic and exciting. Now, as a consumer, I absolutely agree. I want any car that I'm buying to be futuristic and cool, but as the electric car enthusiast, somebody who's kind of wants this whole movement to take off and be, you know, mainstream at some point, so I kind of have a bigger goal in my head, bigger vision and a dream here. To me, this is a perfect car from BMW. It looks like their regular X3, right? There's not much that different. I know some people say, well, the grille is a little weird or whatever, but it looks very similar. And to me, boring is good. We're in a transition, right? And it looks like companies like BMW is kind of being dragged into this whole thing. Like they don't really want to sell it. They kind of understand that they're going to have to. Now, this car also has a pretty real range, over 200 miles. So this is a real SUV, but I hated the fact, and I believe that that was the reason a lot of people didn't really want to buy an electric car, is because electric cars used to look like electric cars, and I don't mean it in a good way, you know? Now, including BMW i3, right? It looks like a compliance car. A lot of people don't like it. I absolutely hate it. So this car looks like a BMW, regular BMW. So if you just want people to buy a small SUV, compact SUV, then and without really thinking whether it's an electric or not or whatever, they just want to buy a car because it's just better what they have, then great. Let's almost camouflage an electric car into a gas car so people don't think much of it, at least visually, right? It's all about the perception. So I welcome this. Again, as a consumer, hell no, I absolutely disagree. I don't find the designs of BMW right now that exciting anyway. But I think it's good for us as a movement to have this boring car. Now, Tony in the chat room is asking, do you know what the automotive standard requirements of China's are? Are they similar to the standards here in the US? No, that's the whole. So Tony, this is an argument that a lot of people are making, that, you know, whenever you're going to be making cars in China and then try to expand, it's going to be a really tough time because the market is different as a target audience, but regulations are much stricter in Europe and in America, especially in California, right? And really, do you know any Chinese company that sells, you know, originally was selling cars in China and then made a successful jump to other markets like North America and Europe? I don't. Now, I think Byton has a good chance because they're a Chinese company, but they also have pretty major presence already in Germany and here in Silicon Valley. So I have a feeling they might succeed. I'm kind of rooting for them. Now, this car is just going to be made in China, which is kind of weird for German manufacturer BMW, but they're going to be right away selling it to the rest of the world. But yeah, the rules are and regulations are much stricter than that. So, all right, guys, this is pretty much it today. And don't forget, tomorrow, Zach and Jesse are going to be here. You're going to enjoy this interview. I promise you, the interview is going to be pretty cool. So stay tuned for that. And on Sunday, we'll do another recap of everything. We'll talk what happened and what to expect the week after. So I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, see you guys next time. And remember to stay charged.